So I think we're up to episode 77.
It's 77.
77
It is absolutely
now.
77.
Okay. Yep. So tonight we got DJ G Martin on, who is a mate of mine, a good mate of mine.
Yeah.
So hello.
Hello, guys. Hello, folks. So glad to be here.
Yeah.
So excited. Actually, I was just now talking about how impressive this place looks like, and then
It's all right. It's a work in progress. Though.
yeah, I'm doing pretty well.
So you're a DJ, you own a company, you do all sorts of stuff. And like, how did you? Well, I always started off the same way, and I always repeat myself. But it's like music. You're a music man, right?
Music, yeah, that's exactly right. That's the way to classify what I do. Sometimes people say, "What you do for a living?" And then I just say, like, I think I play music. Well,
It's
that's
a pretty good title, right? Though like,
it is, but it's a tough one because I start the business part of this because I play music. But lately, I would say it's what I do the least. I do everything else. I send invoices. I contact clients. I do follow-ups, and we do weddings all the time. So weddings are also what requires much more of my time. But other than that, yeah, we play music, make people happy. I think the way to say this is we create the environment. It's like we connect emotionally with people through music, using music as a tool, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the biggest thing about like with our jobs almost is where it's just you create smiles, you create memories, you create long-lasting memories, but just you make the people. Well, you make punters have fun. You make if you kind of get what I mean.
You give them memories. You give them memories.
Yeah, we do this, right? I think that's the job. And then lately I see that it's what people are actually missing. Like we have DJs out there, they just don't understand that what's all about, like I just got the chance to, if you don't mind sharing this, but I just got the chance to see a little bit around, and then just before we started, I went through your house, and then there's like a DJ set in there, right? If you have a very specific genre of music that you really want to play, I think that's the best place for you to be.
Yeah.
But if you want something that you want to create memories, you have to connect with the audience other than just play for yourself. But I believe that there's a fine line being somebody just reproduce whatever it's in the top 40s or create something so unique, so into your bubble, and then there's a fine line between keep the balance, and I think that's what I believe it's missing the most in most of the DJs I've seen around. Like sometimes they either just go from themselves like this, they just reproduce like the latest top 40 songs and play one by one. So there's a
and they just recycle the same playlists and don't really change much up at all in a way sometimes. But I was going to say, so like you own the company Go Gabs DJs, and how long has that been around for? And like, how did it all come to fruition? How did it start in a way?
Well, it started, the Go Gabs DJs itself starts as a way that I realized that when I was getting more inquiries to do things that other than just being in the pub or being in the club, or I've been around in Perth for about 11 years now, around more than 11 years. And then when I started, I've been DJing for longer than that. I've been DJing since I was, I sound old now. I've been DJing professionally, getting paid to be DJ since 1996.
Wow.
So it's been 25 years now.
Holy shit, okay.
Yeah, it is
you're a veteran in the scene.
Well, I started very young too. But in saying this, like when I was around doing my DJ gigs, and then I start to get, you do weddings? And I say, yeah, I do weddings. I can play music, and I've done before, so I can do it. And then, you do corporate functions, you do 40th. And then I said, okay. And I start to get busier with this. And I said, okay, that's a time for me to see what else out there, which was something that I decided to consistently get the name Go Gabs DJs, do things about 4 years ago.
Okay.
It was in May 2017. But how I start DJing, if it's something that I have to say, I don't even know how to say how I started and when I started. All I know that I used to record songs from cassette tapes, from the radio and cassette tapes back in 1992, 1991. I was crazy about the idea of working in radio. I want to be the guy in the radio and the radio announcer, like conducting radio shows and playing music. And then the next thing I knew that I was already putting together some DJ sets, not much of skills or anything like that.
But still, though, like to be able to get music off of, put it on cassette tapes. That's talent in itself.
I'm talking about the time that music was something very hard to even get it, like the extended versions of all these. It was cost lots of money. I'm talking about being in Brazil, and then we had to get the vinyl records from overseas. So all those things was very challenging. Wasn't easy to get this access to those things, right? Today with this thing here, I have access to pretty much every music in the world. Yeah. And then I think there's nothing to stop anyone from getting music and songs. And sometimes I see DJs saying, "Oh, I play only R&B." I say, "Well, you play only R&B, but when was the very last time that you were DJing and somebody approached you to ask you the name of the song you were playing? Or when was the very last time that somebody approached you to say, what's the name of this version of this song you're playing right now?" So you don't play anything, you just reproduce whatever's available for you. But there was a time that people used to have to go and find things, research, and then
crate digging and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get that. So go after songs, and sometimes one DJ used to have the record and then the vinyl record, and then he was the only one that had that song. So for a long time he was the only one that would have that song. It was exclusive. Today there's no exclusive songs, there's no exclusive music.
But that's it, everyone kind of like can just easily get a hold of, just as you said with your phone, easily get a hold of the same tracks, and then it becomes like a trend almost in a way.
Exactly, yeah. And then so when I started doing these things, and back into the story that I was telling, then I start putting my songs and like getting things and doing parties for friends. Like we have a get together, a bunch of teenagers, like let's do something. Oh, and I heard that you have some songs. Can you come and play the music for us? And I say, yeah. Like, you say in Portuguese, in Brazil, we'd say something kind of like, can you give the music? And it's like, give the music, right? give the sound. Like if I translate this exactly how you would say, can you give the sound? Like you bring the music, right? Yeah. And I start to be the guy that used to give the sound. I come to
being the sound guy.
Yeah, I would become a sound guy, exactly. Yeah. I would play a song from a cassette tape, and then sometimes you have to get so pissed off because the guy from the radio would talk over the song and you lose that song. You have to record. So the best time to record songs would be over the night with the jingles, or the station would not have the sweepers or the announcer talking on top of the songs. And you start to put songs together and you start to create the atmosphere of things. So one day, after doing this for friends every now and then, one day somebody, "Oh, would you give the sound?" And then I will pay you something. And I said, "Oh, okay." And gave me some, like, I don't know, would be today like $10, and yeah, okay. And
I was gonna say, so and that was back in Brazil.
Yeah, back in Brazil. Yeah. I'm saying, like, I'm talking about 1994, 1993, sometime around that time.
What were the parties like though? Like, just like they kind of loose in a way, like everyone you'd party until the morning kind of thing, or
as fun as it can be when you are 13 or 14 years old.
Yeah, no, that's right. So here I am thinking, it's like, okay, we're 18, 19, 20 or something.
No, talk about talk about different time as well. Different country, different culture. So I started doing all those things, and I realized that when I was a bit older, I could be doing this more often, getting paid a bit more. And when I realized I was already DJing in pubs and clubs, and then start to get, and then you do one night, and then the manager, "Oh, you're good. Can you come back next week?" And I said, "Oh, sure I can." And, "Oh, we do Fridays. Can you do Fridays?" And it start to grow, and then when you realize you are doing this every weekend, and then when you look back, you're doing every weekend for the last 2 years, and I saw, hey, do I have a business? No, I have occupation, and this occupation pays me money, so I have a job. And then the business, when I believe that it's when you structure in the way that you can somehow provide work for other people, for yourself, and then when something happens like COVID, and you still go through it, because otherwise you don't have a business, you just have you're self-employed, you employ yourself.
Yeah. Like what happened with me in a way when COVID happened, it was just like, okay, what happens now?
Yeah. So I think that's the thing. Like I think the best way to translate that. So that's how I got all this started, and I came to Australia in 2010. Came seeking for education. I want to learn English. I couldn't speak a word of English.
Yeah, because you've told me that before, right? So you couldn't speak English at all, and you just bought a ticket and just flew over here, right?
My first time inside of the airplane was to come to Australia.
That's impressive though. That's so impressive. Just be like, I'm catching a plane. I've never been on a plane before, but one-way ticket. Let's see what happens, kind of thing.
I think that was like tough time that I was going through in my personal life, and then I had one of the toughest year in my life in 2009, and then I think it was when I realized that it was a turning point. I lost my dad in 2009, and then I think like by the time that had been 6 months since he had passed, I was already in Australia. So for me, it was like a very challenging situation because like I'm getting old. I had 2 university degrees, and I had educated myself, but I wasn't getting much of what my education would be giving me. So put too much out there, but I wasn't receiving anything back.
Like you were overqualified, but you couldn't no one could really like provide the right type of job in a way, right? If that's what you're saying.
I'm saying more like I study a lot, and then but I don't know if I didn't have the right opportunities or if I didn't explore the opportunities that I had. I will never know this. Every day I go through phases. I start my day thinking, I screw up. I didn't explore my opportunities. But sometimes I wake up in the morning and say, well, I think I didn't have the right opportunities. so I think I go through that.
So what degrees did you study?
I have a I think you guys got a bachelor in social communication and in journalism.
And journalism as well.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Altogether came to 6 years. So
that's not bad though. They're pretty good qualifications in a way.
They're good. They are good. They never gave me any full-time job, believe it or not, but they gave me enough knowledge to apply to what I do today.
Yeah, but that's the thing as well. Is like it's almost like a learning. It's a step to be able to figure out what you want to do almost. Because it's like what I've talked to friends about in the past, where it's like you can go and get a business degree, but you might not go into business kind of thing. But at least you know the back end of it and how a business would work, or the marketing, or the management, or whichever area you focus on. But it's still just like, when you first move out of home and you go off and study, it's kind of just to go into the big world in a way. Like how old were you when you did your first degree? Oh, well, I started uni when I could actually afford to pay for my own studies. So I was already a bit older. Okay. I went to uni, I was 23. By the time I finished, I was 28. No, yeah, I was 28. It was the end of 2009. So I was 28. Yep. And then when I realized everything started with a provocation, right? The other day I heard this, that things start with a provocation, like when something really hits you in the head and you, I gotta do this, like I was working in a TV station as an internship. You guys say it's a trainee, or I don't know if it's internship, I guess. And then there was one day there, and one of the directors from CNN, the American TV channel, came to visit our studio, came to visit us. And I was just like in the internship, I was killing myself in between 2 jobs. It was the toughest time in my life. I was sleeping few little hours per night. I was studying my last semester of uni. I was going through a very difficult time. My dad had just passed. I think it was just before my dad passed. He was in severe like bad conditions in his health, and there was lots of things going on. So I was working for this TV channel, like doing updates in the website about the news updates and all those things. And then turns out that the director from CNN came to visit our studios and all these. And then the girl that was my supervisor, when I was updating the actual videos on the website, and I turned out I remember this was like right now. She was next to me. I used to do the evening shifts from 6 to midnight. And then I look and I said, oh, that's so cool. I didn't know this guy came in here today. I said, oh yeah, he came, it was nice. And I saw a video of he walking through the installations, and my boss explaining things to him, showing the studios, and she was next to him. There was another guy, the same as me. She was my supervisor, but there was another dude there. There was just another student like I am. And I said, oh, how come you never told me that? She said, oh, I'm sorry, Gabriel. And then she looked at me, she said, oh, but you don't speak English anyway. That hit me, man. Like I said, there will be no one in this every world again that you tell me this. There will be nobody in this planet that once again you tell me that I cannot speak English, that I cannot do something
because of my language. There will be nobody. I will die, but there will be one thing that I will learn. I will learn how to speak this language, and no one will ever again tell me that I can do something because I can speak English.
That's so cool, though. That's really cool. Like, because it's just like it's not like, you know, it's not a wake up call or anything. It's just like you just kind of like, nah, stuff that. Like, if this if an opportunity like that arises again, I'm gonna, you know, take control of it. Like.
Yeah, and then I think it was more because like I felt like, oh, hang on, I'm qualified to do much more than I'm doing right now, and then they stopped me from something so little. So anyway, time went by, got myself an opportunity to come to Australia. Somebody told me why Perth, and I said, oh, I don't know, and what's the place they told me to go to because it was easier to get around than Sydney would be. And then I just came here in 2010 and
just never left.
Never left.
Yeah.
Things changed, and then my daughter, will be watching, Luciana.
Yeah.
You met her
Yeah,
before.
yeah,
She was
yeah.
very excited for me to be here. Then my son Leo will be watching. He came a bit later, and then my life in Australia just started to get into the right places, and then like DJing just was a consequence. I was already DJing in Brazil, so I just was like converting to the Australian industry. Learn a lot about Australia through music. I didn't know Australian artists that I played today, and then I didn't know much about what was happening here. And then, and I met great people like yourself.
Thank you.
People like you guys, you know, so it's a good thing.
So then, like, with Brazil, how would you compare Brazil to Australia or Australia to Brazil in a way? Because, like what we said just before we started, it's like 212 million people that live there or something like that?
220 million people, or even more these days, yeah.
And that's what I mean, like, Perth's only got like 1.9, 1.6 or something like that. Like, we're tiny.
It's a funny thing, isn't it? Perth in Brazil, Australia and Brazil, it's exactly the same, like if you pick this room and you have the three of us here, but you have exactly the same room and put 30 people here. The size is exactly the same, but population is 10 times bigger. So that's the impressive thing about Brazil.
But is it like, does it get humid over there? Like, what's the weather like compared to here? And like, what's the cities like?
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a lot of questions.
No, I like you saying this because weather is a funny one because Brazil is such a huge country, but it's vertical. A vertical way, it's vertical shape.
On the line, on the climate line. The line. The equator. The equator.
The equator, yeah. So because
line.
Australia is in the horizon and Brazil is vertical. So in the south of, I always say this, if you travel from south to north or north to south, let's say you spend the morning of the day in the north part of Brazil and you spend the evening of the day in the south part or vice versa, you will be in two different countries.
Okay.
In everything, in weather, in not languages, only one, but the kind of slangs and not dialects, but more like the way people communicate, the food. Everything is so rich, it's so different. It's like two different countries inside. It's lots of little countries. So when you say what Brazil is like, I'm from São Paulo. It's the southeast of Brazil, and then it is like similar in the alignment to Perth. So the weather is not too different from Perth. What I would say that summer in Brazil is not as hot as here, and winter is not as cold as here.
Okay, I thought it like maybe it wouldn't be as cold, but I thought it gets really hot over there. Like
it does, not in São Paulo. In north of Brazil, absolutely, it would be similar to what Darwin would be like in Australia, right? But in São Paulo, it's a funny you say this because last year we have the highest weather, the highest temperature ever registered in the history, and it came to. In São Paulo came to 37 points or something.
And that was the hottest
ever.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we get 42-degree days here and 44 and stuff.
But in saying this, right? I hate talking about the weather. But
Sorry. Yeah.
But let's talk about the weather. Interesting fact, right?
Yeah.
2013, I went to Brazil with my daughter, and it was the only time so far that she's been to Brazil, and then she went to visit my family. And then that afternoon, I always say this as a reference, I was in São Paulo after a while, and that afternoon that I was there was the coldest afternoon, like the weather was the coldest in 56 years, right? In that day, in 2013. So you look at, you know what the weather was like?
Yeah.
What the weather was like last night in Perth, maybe 7 or 8?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
That day was the coldest in 56 years. During the afternoon was 6 degrees. 6
degrees.
So it's not cold at all, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's just a chilly Aussie morning, basically.
I took my daughter to school this morning, about 9 degrees, and kids were wearing shorts.
Yeah.
And we had the coldest weather in 56 years. It was 6 degrees. So it actually is not as cold as people think it is. In São Paulo, not. And it also is not as hot as people think it is. It was an interesting place to be.
Have you explored, like when you were growing up, so did you just stay in Sao Paulo when you were growing up, or did you ever go north and south or anything like that? Or
No, not at all. I didn't travel much. I've been to Brazil more. I've been to more places in Brazil now than I went as a tourist after the last 11 years, and over the last 11 years since I came to Australia than before. The furthest that I had ever been was 500 kilometers away from where I was born.
Okay.
And after coming to Australia, I went to all the regions in Brazil. I was saying this to my daughter yesterday, actually. I've been to pretty much all the regions, like south, north, northeast, central, and all that. Before, I had never done that. So...
And so, like with that, like as you said, it can be completely different. But like, how how was it? Like, did you like it kind of thing? Being able to just explore me like because is it jungle and stuff like that? Or
no, the Amazon forest where people have the idea about the jungle is more the north part, the tropical part. But São Paulo, Brazil in general, like not really much like what people think that it is. I think that the image of what Brazil sends out, it is like sends out to the world. What do we put out there is just like what people is missing. Like, let's think about this. If I'm releasing something, I want to cater to what I don't see it's happening, what's missing in the market. Like, let's say for Brazil would be, well, we don't have anything as this in any place in the world, so let's show people this because that's what be sellable, that's what people want to see. But when it comes to Brazil, like if you go to São Paulo, if you turn into the radio, like turn on your radio, and then you be listening to the current, exactly the same music you listen to here right now. Seriously, if I play the top 40s on a commercial radio station, that would be exactly what is on the radio here in Australia. You know what I mean? But of course, if people want to think about Brazil, think about samba, think about
and like Latin dancing and stuff like that.
Latin dance is a bit dangerous because we are the only country in South America that's not like a Spanish country. Okay. So the other day somebody said, "Oh, you need to play some Latino music," and then say, "Well, what do you mean?" And then he sent me a playlist, and there was some salsa, and I said, I can go from Brazil from north to south, and if I speak to like 100 random people, maybe 3 or 4 people will know the name of what's salsa. People don't know what's salsa. We don't play salsa in Brazil. Maybe if you go to Colombia, maybe if you go to other Latin countries in South America, but not in Brazil. So the music in Brazil can be much like a samba, forró. There's many different varieties of Brazilian music, but their nightlife is just like in any other big cities in the world. Like, you can get an R&B night, house music, and all that. So.
Yeah, because I've always like from talking to people, well, not talking to people, but like trying to gain experiences and just like learn from it. It's like I've just been told that it's kind of like it can be just a party place in a way. Because we've had a guy called Douglas Verdam on.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
and he's an awesome dude, and he told me like how he ran like a 2,000 person party or something like that over there. Like,
absolutely. No, it can happen. Like it is like a very distinct country because like so many different influences as well. Like we've been colonized by Portuguese, and you had some like Africans, then came as a slave, and then we have the Japanese culture. Like not many people know this, but São Paulo is the biggest Japanese community out of Japan. Really? São Paulo is the biggest Lebanese community out of Lebanon.
Really?
Yeah. So they reckon there are more Lebanese people who actually live in Brazil than in Lebanon. So because Lebanon is such a small country. So we have so many Italians coming to Brazil as immigrants, like back 100 years ago, and then still coming to those days. And then we have so many different cultures. So yes, we have space for everything. But yeah, it could happen to have a party for 2,000 people, as Douglas said. And Douglas is a great guy. I met him before even he got here.
Really?
Through my cousin, yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I got to meet him before he moved to Australia. So if he's watching.
Hopefully.
That's how small.
Shout out Dougie.
That's how small Perth is. Is that even if you go to Perth, you'll meet people that you've known before that have come over with you. You know.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah.
And so then with that though, so like I was gonna ask, like with Western influence in a way, is like it, because as I said, like I don't really know much about it, but like over in Brazil, like you have lots of like cultural, like, you know, stuff there, because it's an old country, right?
Yeah.
But then, like, you know, with, in a way, like the big bad America and what they've done with Hollywood and like music and television and stuff like that. Yeah. Did you like, you know, because you said with cassettes back in the beginning, but like with videos and movies and stuff like that, did you get like James Bond and like all the
absolutely
that kind of stuff at all?
Absolutely, man. Like everything that's in TV, I think that's there's a very famous Brazilian. I would say marketer. He works in the marketing publicity industry. He's creates advertisement for campaigns, and one of the biggest and most well-known campaigns in TV commercial, putting commercial for TV in the country. He's been the one that created them. He's a very influential guy. His name is Washington Oliveto, and then he says that Brazil is one of the trickiest places in the world to work because it's a third world country with taste and vision of first world country. Okay. Like might be a third world country, but if you walk in São Paulo, you see lots of people will be carrying iPhones, like anybody here in Australia would be. And people will be driving expensive cars, and then if you watch a TV, you see the commercial ads, and it comes like, oh, far out, man. We have everything is here. There's nothing missing, you know. I'm not sure, but if I go to any other South American country, it might not be the same. If I go to some Asian or African country, it might not be the same. But in Brazil, we have pretty much access to everything. So even the TV shows like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was on TV there. Like, all those things, we grew up with pretty much everything.
That's awesome. Yeah, because that's like, I was gonna say, it sounds very similar to like when I've been to Hong Kong and China in a way. Like going to Hong Kong, it's like, even though it's a Chinese city, it's very, very Western influenced. But as soon as you go inland, then you're like in a different world almost, kind of thing. And then it's just like it's completely different. And then it's just China being China. Like I can rave on about like how interesting it is, but yeah.
I would love to go to China, man. Did you go there just now recently?
I've been there 4 times with my family for business and stuff like that, because my parents own a import-export reversing camera business. And so we've been to factories, and I've seen sweatshops, and I've seen all sorts of stuff, and it's pretty nuts. Like, surprisingly enough as well, that China is actually filthy. Like Hong Kong is kind of like, you know, it's like a old city and stuff like that. And they do have like cleanliness to themselves in a way. But in China, it's like when you go into mainland, it's just like the rivers are black. There's rubbish everywhere. People spit on the floor, and there's, you know, mist in the. It depends on where you go as well, of course, because China's a big place, but I've been to places like Guangzhou and Shenzhen, which are factory areas, and with that, it's like you can look directly at the sun. It's just one big orange ping pong ball kind of thing. But it's
amazing. Man.
Yeah, it's a big eye opener. And then I've also been to places like South Africa, and like South Africa is just beautiful. But the crime and the like, just with every single house has got barbed wire and razor wire fence. It's just like it's an interesting experience almost. But
yeah, that's one of those things. It's all about perception as well.
Exactly.
Like how you perceive a place. I see what you mean. I always, you said about South Africa, and I always have this little analogy in my head, which I will share with you guys. I always say that I don't know many places in the world that you can walk into a house that's worth more than 1 million American dollars. Let's use American dollars as a reference. I don't know many places in the world that there's a house over 1 million American dollars, and you can knock the door directly without a wall or a gate, and the owner of the house will come and talk to you directly. Not many places in the world you can do this. When you can do this easily in Perth with $3 million house, $4 million house, and you walk through the street and then you just knock the door and the owner comes to the door, open the door and talk to you. Like I say, you cannot do that in New York. You cannot do that in America.
That's it, yeah. You go to America, you get shot.
You cannot do this in Brazil. And I don't know many other places in the world you can actually do this, you know, in a big city as well. I don't even know if you can do that in Sydney. I was in Melbourne a while ago and I went through St Kilda, I guess, and then this is like the taxi driver told me it was a nice area there, and then I saw the house, big walls, and I said, "Oh, it reminds me of Brazil, it reminds me of São Paulo." But I think it's a thing with big cities, you know.
Yeah, and it's like we said as well, the perception almost as well, because it's like depends on where you go and the areas and stuff like that. But it's also like, you know, say like with Perth, you know, like I've never had problems walking the streets alone at night at 4 a.m. holding my DJ equipment, going back to my car after the nightclub or anything like that. But I reckon it's just because we're so small and we're just like so spread out that it's maybe I don't know. Like
I guess it makes lots of sense, especially when you see this also translate into our industry, which is the DJ industry. Also creates the reality with DJs. I think there's a concept DJs creating a world that doesn't exist in other places. I see really big DJs they've done lots for that scenario where they are part of, and they struggle to get gigs. But in Perth, it seems like somebody can. There are more. Sometimes I have impression there are more events happening than DJs available, which creates like a reverse thing. You know, there's lack of professionals to work. Sometimes I see DJs they don't have as much as quality, and then they act like they have. There's some group of DJs that you called, and sometimes you get confused. Hey, did I call this guy or did I call Calvin Harris by mistake? Because they act like they are doing lots, and I say, man, you only do this because you're here.
Yeah, that's it in a way, right? Yeah.
You would not last 1 week DJing in a big city. You wouldn't if you went. I'm not going. Talk about big cities like São Paulo, New York, London, Paris. I'm talking about if you went to Sydney, here in Australia. No need to go too far. If you went to Melbourne, I don't think we would have so much offers because you're not that great. You know?
That's it. When I was growing up, like when I first started DJing and stuff like that, and really getting into it, a good friend of mine always told me, like, move to Melbourne because that's where it is. You move to Melbourne, you make your name over there, and you take off and you'll go to the stars and this and that. But I kept saying to him, it's like, if I move to Melbourne, then I have to start at the bottom of the ladder in a way, because it's like double the population, triple the population, and then you just have to network and socialize and try and find and meet the right people to, you know, to try and make a living out of it in a way. But that's it. It's like if you go to New York, it's like unless you're family friends with someone who owns a nightclub, like good luck kind of thing.
I got to understand this a bit better when I was in Brazil just now last time and in 2019, and I saw people that I really admire. I grew up listening to those guys in the radio, and then when you went out and then you catch up with them by chance, friends introduce. I say, man, I'm so glad to be here, shaking their hands, and say, man, I can't believe I had a chance to be DJing next to this guy that I always listened to since I was like, God knows, like 80 years old, and I was playing the club next to him, like I was just doing back to back, and then I was say, far out, man, I'm with this guy. And then he said, oh, so what's your gig tomorrow? Coming to check. I said, no, man, I have nothing on tomorrow. I think, oh, far out, man. Like, it's actually quite sad, you know, because like, it's been out of the market now. It doesn't have space anymore. And I said, well, there's a legend here, a true legend. And then
that's it, right? You know? That's what's so hectic as well, because it's like, it's time, you know, time keeps going, and it's just like, unless that's why, you know, heaps of people say you got to produce music in a way, and you got to come up with your own style and do this and do that, because then you can kind of cement yourself as like that image almost. I mean, so like with me, I don't produce, but then I just DJ and I just play good music kind of thing, and go out and socialize and network and try and, you know, put a smile on my face in a way. But at the same time, it's like if I did produce, then people can actually be more aware of you in a way, like. And in doing that, then you can fill that market gap almost. Well, not fill that market gap, but try and get more work, I guess.
I hear what you're saying. And then what I see that could be the actual situation for DJs, I honestly say there are two ways. If there are more ways that you can correct me, you guys can help me out with this. I think there are only two ways for you to go when you are a DJ and you play somebody else's music. When you play someone's music, if you don't produce your own music, you either go get a production and then get it to produce your own music, or you get yourself into a way to make that thing into a business. You create your brand about one genre of music. You do things, because if you just keep playing the top 40s and somebody else's music, this is a matter of time for you to be out of the game, because there will be somebody younger than you taking your spot, and then with a different approach and a fresh image, they will promote themselves in a way, you know. So that's exactly what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. That's like, so a good example of that. So like, I play at Scarborough Beach Bar usually on every Saturday, and when I go and play at that place, like, I saw on Facebook the other day someone was commenting, and you know, it was quite upset because it's like they actually someone came up to them and requested a Pink Floyd song, and they were like, I haven't heard Pink Floyd, you know, no one's requested Pink Floyd forever, kind of thing. But then it's like, when I go out and about and play my music, you know, I'll play Pink Floyd, I'll play Cold Chisel, I'll play, you know, the Smiths, I'll play the Bee Gees, I'll play this, I'll play that. I'll try and play the classics in a way, or play what people want to hear, instead of just sticking to Dua Lipa in a way and Calvin Harris and stuff, and trying to, you know, mix it up and do something different. And that's where, like, I kind of feel like that's where I've actually managed to stand out in a way, because not many, you know, people play not the same stuff, but it's like the same kind of music goes in that rotation of party tunes almost in this small city. Maybe,
and then that's the thing, and then there's a demand of people that also, there's a higher demand of people that want the same style of music. I don't know, we can elaborate on this and talk for this forever. But exactly, what I cannot understand is like when somebody say, I like my old school R&B. What's the genre of old school R&B?
Is it 90s or is it
a Drake song from 2015? Or is like you talk about Ice Cube and NWA in 1991? You know, like, what's old school R&B? And then like this concept, and made something like, we create a group of people that those days, like, they say, oh, I just like my old school R&B, and then like, what do you do? And then people, I'm just play old school R&B. What do you actually play?
So what is that?
They play 10 songs. You know? Like,
and so that's why like I record my mixes and have my track lists and stuff like that, because then I can actually look back and go, okay, well, I've done that. Maybe I should play that. Maybe I should do this. Maybe just mix it up instead of just playing just old school R&B.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying in the fact that I appreciate you saying about recording your sets, because it's like how you create the way the perception we're talking about before, how you perceive your own music. If the question is, if I was sitting right there, how would I like to feel? Do I want to feel like happy? Do I want to feel old? Depends what you're playing. You can make people feel old, you know? That's
exactly it.
You don't want to be in a pub on a Friday night, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't want to be there thinking like, "Wow, who's DJing? Is my granddad is in the turntable tonight? It's my dad's music." You know what you mean when you listen to something? So, this is my parents' music.
I've had that a couple of times, like kind of like.
You don't want a girl 22 years old in the pub on a Friday night thinking like, oh no, this is actually my mom's music. It sounds old, you know, like my nana's music. I don't want that, you know.
But that's why you got to mix it up and just like I don't know. I just do my thing and just play to the crowd almost like. And
exactly. It's how you give them that kind of memories, right? You said before. Really appreciate you saying creating memories, because it's what we do. I think that's what we were supposed to do, right? The whole time. I think there was a time that DJs were more concerned about this, because music was something slightly harder to achieve. Like you captivate your audience, you give them something they never heard, but you work on that. You give them time to also you are creating experience, right? Yeah, it's like going to the restaurant. Like you don't go to the restaurant because you don't know how to cook what they're serving. Maybe you could cook it at home, but you like that the flavor that the chef is gonna.
That's it. Their own little spice on it in a way, like their own little twist on it, kind of to be able to make. You know, it's like with Long Chim's in a way. Like with Long Chim's, I love that venue because it's Thai food, but it's so unique that the way they make their Thai food, it's like, you know, they'll do slow roast this, or like they'll do it on like burnt brisket with like blah blah blah, like all these different little things to make it like you know, it's unique flavors instead of just your average Thai restaurant on the corner kind of thing.
Yeah, and then the DJ had to I still believe the DJ is supposed to have that kind of, not educator, but have a little bit of the responsibility to bring something new to the audience, like not only reproduce what's the top 10 songs in the country, because of course the crowd, because nothing can be worse than this, right? I think you have seen that somebody put the phone right in your face when you are DJing and then say play this song, and then this song is the #1 song in the country for the last 4 weeks, and they say if you play this song everybody's gonna go off, and then you say oh cool, and then you play the song and say, see, I told you. So wow.
That's it.
It's the same if you say to me, if I throw money here, people will be very happy with me and will try to catch it. Of course,
exactly.
Of course, right?
That's exactly it. But that's it. It's like, you know, you can, the amount of girls that request WAP, and it's like, look, I know that will go off, but can we save it for later, kind of thing? Like, I don't want to play it right now, but like,
we're building up together. There will be like you read the crowd, you read the energy, and then how it goes. I see this like a DJ. I like a bit of philosophy, and then I listen to some philosophical stuff, and then I'm not going to go into philosophical conversation here tonight. But they say there are two ways of explaining the world. There's a scientific way or philosophical way. It's two ways to explain the world. And when it comes to music, I think DJs have to have a little bit of both and understand a little bit of things. There will be times that you're gonna go off of the track into
out of your comfort zone kind of thing.
Your comfort zone, and not only that, but also with trying something different. Maybe that night there's a context. There's a story that I always say. There used to be a DJ that used to work for me a while back. People that know me, they will know what I'm talking about. My son, my girlfriend, they will know these, and they will understand that. This guy was I gave him a playlist to fill in for me one night at the pub, and then was it AFL Grand Final, and I gave him so tonight is very much like AFL Grand Final. Was the year the West Coast Eagles had just won the AFL,
the Grand Final,
the Grand Final with the AFL, the Premier League. I don't know how you guys call, but it was
I'm the same. I don't really know much about AFL.
But that was the big thing, right? Since like 2006, and they won just now 2018. And I gave this guy, I said, this is gonna be party night. So I'm gonna give you my playlist from New Year's Eve last year. And I said, it was my playlist from last year, sometime last year. That was very much similar crowd. It's gonna be vibe. So just go through that playlist as a reference. And then the next day, I always check on the DJs to see what they're doing. And I say, would you mind sharing your playlist with me, just for me to have a look what he did last night, how you went? And then he sent me. And he played the Christmas song, the Mariah Carey song, All I Want For Christmas You. And I was like, man, is it
what day was this on there?
September.
What?
They fell grand final. So the long weekend in September, just Queen's birthday.
You played All I Want For Christmas Is You.
I want to say, man, what the fuck is awesome? What the hell you play this, man? And then but people really like this song, man. Like I say, of course they do on the Christmas day, man. If I had given you the New Year's, you would play the countdown.
Andre's made a very good point of this to me ages and ages ago. It's like the only time you should ever play Mariah Carey Christmas, right? All I Want For Christmas Is You, is either Christmas Eve or Boxing Day, and that's it.
That's it, man.
I mean, like some people might do it like a week before or 2 weeks before or whatever to build up that Christmas spirit. Not in September.
No, in September, no. I normally start to play the song around like from the first week of December, which is normally what the radio stations do as well.
Exactly,
around the time the shopping center will be playing.
Yeah.
You create the Christmas spirit, but and then it's like what going on about this, like how you read so as a DJ you have to have a little bit of the actual philosophical thing, like what the song actually means. When you pick a track, this song they play, I wasn't born when the song was around, but I know that means a lot for some people. They'll be there, and then there's a story behind the song. So I'll play the song now because the time that you're gonna create the connection with people. Otherwise, you just pick them randomically, and you pick any song comes in.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing as well with when I go out and about and DJ and stuff like that. Is like most of the tracks that I try and play, they've got some sort of meaning to me, like some sort of memory or something that is attached to it. Where like, you know, maybe I played this song and I broke up with this girl, or this happened, or, you know, like when, you know, something happened in my life to be able to make me like turn to music to be able to feel better in a way. And then when I just go out and about and I think like, okay, well, this song made me feel like this. Hopefully it'll make someone else feel like that in a way. And like, you know, we're not bad, but like uplifting and try and like, you know, because when I used to play at the Flying Scotsman, there was a guy, it was a kind of a bit of an eye-opener, but a guy had broken up with his missus of like 10 years or something like that. And he would keep coming every single Wednesday and keep requesting songs. And then when I'd play these songs, before I'd rock up, he'd be sitting at the bar with a beer, down the dumps, just like alone kind of thing. But he'd come up and request these songs, and I'd play it, and I can just see him smiling. And I just like see him like actually enjoying the songs from his childhood and this and that. And it just like made me think, it's like, well, he's, you know, he's really getting down to this, like this is what we should be doing kind of thing, like
I hear that, because it is when you create a deep connection with them, right?
That's exactly it. And that's like, you know, if we're I've also I've had a guest on ages ago, and I always repeat it like every episode, but there's a guy called Genga, and I know Genga. I love him to bits, because when we interviewed him, honestly, like if your car gets broken into, you have a shit night, this and that, or whatever happens, you still got to go to work with a smile on your face, like, and that's the biggest thing, because our job is to be able to do what we do and do it well, kind of thing. You don't want to go out and play a bad gig, because you might never get asked back, kind of thing. And it's like,
and I hear you saying that, especially when it comes to what we do, right? Because we gotta be there to, like, countless times, man. Like one of the places that I'm resident DJ at the moment is at the Gate. I've been there for 10 years. 10 years. And
10 years.
10 years. And at some stage, I used to be there Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So I put numbers together a while back, and I've been there for over 700 times. 700 times at the same gig, at the same venue, the same gig, right? And then I say, well, what's the variety of music I have to bring to this crowd? How can I keep this? I have to cater to the TikTok girls that in their early 20s. I have to cater to the guy that's there completely by chance because he never been before and he's in his mid 50s. I have to cater to a bunch of kind of old ladies that had one night off every 2 months when they come for a drink, and then they sit down, and like there's the 3 days like Vicky, Debbie, and Leanne. And I have to cater to the guy that likes R&B, old school. I have to cater to the guy that think he's too cool with it. He only likes, can you play something that he doesn't even know how to say? He just showed me his phone. Can you play this one? And then you have to cater to all those people. So that's when it comes to the, I said earlier that there's 2 ways of explaining the world according to what people say. There's a philosophical, scientific way, and then I think when it comes to the science, like it's okay. So if I play this now, what the connection is gonna be? But it's danceable. Is this track does have the BPM that I need for this type of for this moment of the evening? Do I want to change the energy? Because also, mind you, we are DJs in pubs. And the pubs make money in the bar, not with the DJ.
That's exactly it. But then it's also one of those things where if they don't have the DJ, there's no entertainment, and then people don't have a reason to stick around almost. Unless the tab, unless you got footy on or something.
Yeah, but there've been pubs that they have the dance floor full of people the entire night, and the bar is empty, and they say it won't last. People go off there, but everybody go crazy. Yeah, but the bar is pretty quiet. We have to stop the night. How many times you see nights that you had a reasonable number of people, and the managers after a few weeks like, we're not doing DJs anymore. We're gonna put the live music. What's the reason? It's not because the manager himself or themselves prefer the live music. It's just because the live music make people go to the bar. Nobody's get up and dance so much.
That's it.
So the DJ has to understand this. Like as a DJ, we keep an eye on the bar sometimes. It's I want to slow down the dance floor now. I don't want to keep people bang, 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 like for 45 minutes in a row. So hang on. Let me send people to the bar. Let me rotate the energy in this room right now. So that's when it comes to a bit of science, like you learn a little bit of elements. What kind of elements going to keep, what reaction will get from people. So you dive into a very very deep world when it comes to the song is danceable.
It's like an emotional connection almost.
It's emotional connection, but in physical reactions, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and it's all to keep a good balance between what the song mean. All I want for Christmas, means Christmas.
Yeah, that's it.
But if I play a drum and bass track right now, am I going to get that reaction from my crowd?
See, like, I've got a good example of that as well, because like, I really admire the whole idea of the philosophical kind of mindset, and then also the scientific mindset, because it's like we have to, some people, they'll actually go ahead and like make their track list, and they'll actually like, okay, I'm gonna play this song, then this song, then this song. But then like when we go and freestyle, because you freestyle as well,
totally.
And so when we freestyle, it's like, say for example, like when I play at Scarborough Beach Bar or other bars, I'll put the tequila song on. And then it's like people just think tequila. Okay, maybe I should go get some tequila, kind of thing. It's kind of subliminal messaging almost, but you're sliding little things in there to make people go like, maybe I should drink more. Maybe I should stick around. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. But it's like part of like what we were saying before. It's emotional and the physical connection where music can move people. Music can change people. Music can just influence people and do so much. It's such an like. What's the word for it? Where it's like it's a
subconscious.
It's a subconscious, but it's like an
subliminal.
Oh, kind of subliminal, but like an open-ended book in a way, where it's like it's
you talking about choose your own adventure?
No, not choose your own adventure, but it's like everyone has their own opinion and
interpretation.
Own interpretation in a way. Yeah, because that's the thing is like some people just like playing drum and bass, some people just like playing old school R&B, but then it's like opening your horizons to be able to play a bit of everything or a bit of this and a bit of that, and then trying to just play to the crowd in a way. It's a skill in itself, kind of.
It is, and then I think it always started as well with trying not to please as many people as you can, but instead of doing these, instead of trying to please as many people as you can, you try to not make many people upset.
Yeah, that's exactly
it. Go the other way around.
Yeah.
You're not gonna pick a song that more people gonna like it. You're gonna pick a song that less people gonna hate it.
That's
and it. You if you start in that way, you get better, because like how many times you're gonna choose one song? If I could go around, let's pick like in numbers here, like. I could go out to Scarborough Beach Hotel, right? Scarborough Beach Hotel?
Scarborough Beach Bar.
Scarborough Beach Bar.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, I know the place. I just got confused the name.
Yeah.
So we go to Scarborough Beach Bar. And then when you get there, I ask 100 people. And I say, hey, can you pick your top 5 songs that you wish the DJ could play right now? If I could do this study like that, right? And then they would pick... I doubt there would not be one song that would be the number one for 100 people.
Of course, yeah.
I doubt there would be... one song that would be in the top in 100 people's top 5. I don't even know there would be one song that would be in, if you ask randomly songs, like don't give it a list to pick songs and put in order, but I gave say pick any 5 songs. I'm not sure if I would get 100 people picking the top 5 exactly the same. I don't even know if there'll be a song that will be in everyone's top 5.
Well, that's it. And that's the thing as well. That's where it's like...
It's pretty tough.
And the biggest thing is, I was explaining this to a few friends at TAFE today, where it's like with the music industry, it's just like what you said. Back in the day, you had to go crate digging. And if you had that specific vinyl, then you had those songs kind of thing. And the only way you could really listen to those tracks is if they played it on the radio.
Yes.
But now you've got your phone. And with your phone, you can just go on YouTube, you can just go on Spotify. You can just go and dive into your own genre, into your own, as what Damo said before, your own adventure into music, basically.
Yeah.
And the thing is that it's not a bad thing. It's a really good thing, because there's so many different tastes and now like so many different genres popping up. But at the same time, it's kind of like, it makes our job not so much more difficult, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's just like making our job a bit more like involved, trying to like keep the crowd happy. Because it's like, we were explaining this, I think last week's episode, where it's like K-pop, Korean pop, rock and stuff like that. It's like it's on the rise.
Yeah.
And we were at TAFE, and like there's a group of kids being like talking about K-pop.
Yeah.
And I've never really listened to K-pop ever.
It just sounds like it's just American pop with Korean words in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just Coca-Cola. It might as well call it
so it
Korean
is
cola. It fucking is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then again, I'm very dismissive of all that.
Dismissive, yeah. But that's the thing, though. It's just like all these, or like say like Nightcore, and like all these different things that these Nightcore is basically like anime hard style, and it's just like so out there.
It's
so
invented
unique.
by like a Finnish like 14-year-old when he just sped up a song by 200%. It was like, this sounds alright. I think that's actually how it
But
started.
then with that, it's just like I've had a request for Nightcore before. I've looked it up, listened to it, and like, I can't play this. Like, but then it's like I'll make you happy, but I can't.
There's
play
no way.
this.
Yeah, and it's exactly the thing, right? If I play this, how many people unhappy I will make?
Yeah.
And not make it happy. How many unhappy people will be here right now? So sometimes I try to understand when people come and request a song, and then I say, "Oh, can you please take the song?" I say, "Look, I done this." I say, "Look, come here." I'll say, I'll play the song in the headphones. I put the headphones on, and I'll give the headphones for the patron, for the punter at the venue, and say, "Hey, look at the crowd. What do you think? Tell me what do you think?" And then, because sometimes there's no way, and I say, if you truly think if I play this right now, I'm gonna get this place going.
That's it, yeah. But then it's not like it's a guessing game, but it's not a guessing game though, because it's like trial and error from playing out and about and the practice behind it to be able to go, okay, well, I've played these songs at this venue, maybe they'll work at this venue. Like, well, in a way, for like my experience, like when I play at Scarborough Beach Bar, it's when I first started playing there, it was all house music, and that's kind of what I started playing. And it was like Calvin Harris and like, you know, pop stuff like Dua Lipa and Flow Rider Low. But now when I go and play there, since I've kind of like played there so often, which you probably would have done as well at the gate, you've kind of tailored the crowd almost. And it's so good when you get to that chance, because when you get to be able to do that, because now I get to play AC/DC and Kiss and like Alice Cooper and stuff like that in Scarborough. And the thing is, the crowd realizes like, okay, well, we can go to the techno club El Grotto and go to the Peach Pit and go listen to like bangers and heavy music, or we can go to Lookout and listen to garbage, or we can go to Scarborough Beach Bar and like listen to rock and roll.
Well, that's exactly right. You got to define what you want to achieve, because you get a chance to shape in the way that you see the crowd, and the reaction is pretty much instantaneous. Like, you play a song, if it doesn't work well, you can tell. After 40 seconds the song into the, when you get to the moment that people should go and like they don't,
then you just like,
that's it.
And that's happened to me multiple times. Does that happen to you as well? You like you play a track and like expect something like, oh shit, I need to get out of this really quickly.
You try out a couple of things. I try out things out the gate all the time, and sometimes I just watch the reaction. There's no other way. Like, but again, we go back to what we started the conversation with. There was a time that DJs were more responsible to make music happen, and then I think with time, DJs start to play what was already out there instead of being the ones that dictate the trends. We start to follow the trends. You know what I mean? There was
100%. 100%.
Yeah, exactly. It would be similar analogy if instead of going by clothes, like you buy why you wear what you wearing, because you know the movie The Devil Wears Prada. Yeah, that's a cool one, because I like the moment that the girl thinks that she's so cool because she doesn't sell herself into the fashion trends and all this, and the lady that's Meryl Streep, she's plays the Miranda. What's her name? Miranda, I guess. Anyway, so she comes and say, "Hey, come here. You think that you're so cool because you're wearing these. You know that what you're wearing this right now, it was decided this table 5 years ago." So, you know, people think they are not influenced, but we are what we see, right?
Yeah.
We are what we see.
That's it.
Yeah, Miranda, that's it.
Miranda Priestley.
Yeah, she's the character.
But that's exactly it. It's like, why do people buy iPhones? Why do people buy Nike, in a way?
Yeah.
Because they go with the trends. They go with like, it's the cultural belief almost behind it, where people go, okay, like my friends are all driving Mercedes, I want a Mercedes, kind of thing.
Exactly.
But you don't have to. But it's like somehow it imprints it into your mind, where it's like, okay, well, I want nice things. I want this. I want that. And you know, it's like almost, instead of worrying about your needs, it's like you want your wants, kind of thing, or in a way. But that's not with everybody. Like it's
and I truly hear what you're saying, and then it comes to the thing that we just said just now. When it comes to the DJs, like, we were supposed to some extent to bring something, to do something slightly different. You're DJing, I'm DJing at the gate on Friday night, and then I could eventually drop like a David Bowie song there from 80s, and then people say, "Oh, that's actually a pretty good song." Like, is the music? I heard that once, and then I'll repeat what I heard somebody saying this. If the song is good, they will play. And then people will enjoy it. If the music, if the song actually sounds good, if it actually you listen and say, far out, man, that guitar is freaking awesome, man. I'll play this, and you really believe it. That's good. The song's good. I'll play it. And then people will follow along. But there was a time that DJs were more adventurous, I guess. I think they were more
experimental.
They had more confidence. They were more the adventurous in terms of exploring more. DJs were more curious. They were after more. They dig into the crates and they try to find something.
The rare tracks,
and they were a bit more. They had the audacity to, I'll try this, and then more confident, the more courage. Those days, I guess that, of course, I cannot deny that it's TikTok songs that I never heard before. People request me, and then I cannot say I don't play this. It's TikTok, I don't play it. No, I cannot say that. We cannot. But at the same time, you cannot close your eyes and totally ignore there's something there that people listen to music every day. People can carry every single song ever released in the world in the hands or in the phone. So I cannot not be influenced by that, but I have to still try to, bring something. I think that's what we keep in the balance between. I'm only gonna play whatever's out there on TikTok and it's in the top of the charts, or I'm only gonna play something that's totally alternative, something that I'm totally gonna try out and see how it goes. No, I keep a bit both,
Well, exactly, yeah. That's really awesome. It's a really good way to look at it, because there's so many people out there that do look at it like that, and so many people that don't look at it like that as well, because they just go out and play what they want to play. But then they know it's like, okay, my friends like these tracks, then hopefully everyone likes these tracks. But it's just it's just how the industry is. It can be kind of, because that's the thing as well with Perth, for example. Perth's like, after interviewing so many people, we're in a bit of a bubble, I would say. And like being in this bubble, it's like we're in a top 40 bubble, we're in an old school bubble. Like I love it. It's because I get to play David Bowie and Queen and INXS and all the other stuff. But then it's like you go to Melbourne and Sydney and you got to go to a pub or a proper bar to hear that kind of stuff. Like otherwise it would just be like house music or techno or drum and bass or just like these specific genres, I would say. But that's from my experience, from what I've seen though, because obviously Melbourne's a big place and you can get lost in Melbourne and find different bars and pubs and this and that. But it's just, like I just find that like house music has taken over in a way. But then back 10 years ago, drum and bass was huge in Perth as well. But we still were partnered with that, the bubble of playing top 40 and cliche kind of stuff. But it's just like I feel like house music's really taken over the whole of Australia almost, kind of.
There's actually when you interview Douglas, I think he probably would be the good one to talk about this.
Yeah. He was all for it. He was just like, I love house.
Yeah, that's true thing. Like I see that, but I think that I don't know if we have enough crowd for things to be consistent in Perth. I don't know. When I see DJs saying they are drum and bass DJs, I always ask myself like I don't know if they have enough gigs to do it. So I'm a drum and bass DJ. So, okay, so whereabouts do you play every week?
That's it. Yeah, and they do monthly gigs.
So I don't know if there's a club that plays drum and bass every week. If it does, because the number of DJs that only play drum and bass, I don't know if it would have.
Wasn't Amber like Amber back in the day? And then they're closed. Closed.
And not even that. I appreciate that, but I'm saying I don't even know if there was a club that there must. Oh, sorry. There
was a club. No, and now it's gone forever.
But Amber wasn't just drum and bass. It was breaks, drum and bass. It was techno, house. It was all sorts of stuff.
Does Nevermind do drum and bass?
No, just house.
Just house
and techno.
Even if there's a place that only plays drum and bass on Saturdays or Fridays and Saturdays, for the number of DJs that I met over the last few years that only plays drum and bass, there would be no space for all the DJs to be there every week.
No, exactly, yeah. It's just exactly. It's just like the amount of people that love it outweigh the venues that they can actually play at.
I hear that. Man, do we have a break here? I'm busting to go to the toilet.
Oh yeah, you can. I'll take over for you.
Yep, okay, I'm gonna go because I've been drinking water a lot.
Yeah, that's all good. Do you want to go out into the backyard if that's all right?
Sorry, folks.
No, it's all good.
Damo,
Damo, take over. Yeah.
Look,
yeah, we should talk more about Brazil and stuff.
we should. I want to talk about. Actually, a woman commented, Kayla, she made a great point. What was your favorite gig that you played in Brazil? I think I want to ask that question.
Okay,
It's a good question. I want to talk. Yeah, let's talk a bit about Brazil.
Yeah,
Because we were having this conversation before with him about how Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has supplanted soccer as the most popular sport in Brazil at the moment.
Mm.
And I wonder if that has anything to do with Joe Rogan bringing it on the main stage. Do you think there's a possibility?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah,
Because he is like the think about it. Like we're seeing about the Americanization. He was talking about you have your iPhone. This is his iPhone, by the way. To really prove the point, this is his iPhone. But you have your iPhones in the hands of just normal Brazilian citizens, and it's essentially like not a third world nation, a second world nation with rather lower living standards than most Western countries. Yet they have all this access to blue jeans, Coca-Cola, and rock and roll.
Yeah. So
how much of an effect has Joe Rogan had, especially with the amount of UFC fighters that have come out, especially with the Gracie family and stuff? And a lot of the Gracies have been interviewed on the Joe Rogan. And
I don't know who the Gracie families are.
No, they are essentially the founders of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Okay. They're just the family that he was. His name, it was like not Hickson Gracie, it was like Hoya Gracie, I think was his name, and he was trained by this Japanese jiu-jitsu artist, and then he turned that into Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and then that just exploded all over Brazil, and because of that, Brazil produced so many great UFC fighters, and that's why it's such a big MMA thing. And I talk to a lot of Brazilians, and they go, "Oh yeah, it's huge. Brazilian jiu-jitsu is massive over there." I mean, let's face it, like. It's supplanted soccer, man. If Brazil gave us Pele, you're the biggest, one of the biggest celebrities of all time. One of the biggest celebrities of all time, probably one of the most famous people of all time, and he's been supplanted by Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Hey, you might ask, what do you think about Ayrton Senna, the F1 driver? Is he a hero in your country?
Absolutely.
And let's talk about
he's a hero in my country, and ironically, it's the same name as my dad.
Oh, really?
So, So people say, "What's your dad's name?" My daughter says that, and I say Ayrton. We say Ayrton, and she says, "Oh, that's a funny name." And I say, "Oh, this is the name of very famous pilot." And actually, it's interesting to say this because recently it's been anniversary since he passed, and I was watching the day, so it seems like it makes me feel old because I was actually watching the race the day that
he passed away.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he passed away. It's 1994. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Was that actually a public holiday? I remember that was like today. Yeah, it's been. It's been a long time now. Hey, 27 years.
He passed away in 1994.
Yeah, 1st of May, isn't it?
The 1st of May. Yes.
Yeah, it was as a public holiday. Yeah, I remember that.
And so he was like a local hero, kind of.
He was.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even up to this day, I think that in F1, he's one of the biggest names. Like
the
biggest one.
We had a comment as well. What was the comment?
It was by Karen asked, "What was your favorite?" Karen asked.
Shout out Karen. She's watching.
What is your favorite gig that you played in Brazil?
Oh man, I've done so much, but I believe that I had the opportunity to be performing in an event for a TV station that I used to work for, and then find out that I was a DJ, so I had a chance to be doing my DJ set. And then of course we had in TV station, we had local celebrities, very influential and big names in Brazilian celebrities, and then that was the DJ there. So wasn't a specific nightclub, but was actually very much like a meaningful thing for me. I think that when I got to say, I'm doing something meaningful,
That's pretty cool. So how long was the set and stuff like that?
Oh, it was I think 1 hour and a half. After the live music, we had a very well-known band performing, equivalent to if it was in Australia, and an Access would be performing. Or I don't know, some other Australian artists.
Access is still pretty big.
I was saying, but it's it would be if you got a Guy Sebastian playing, and then after that, you would be the DJ set. You'd be the one taking the.
That's pretty cool. Though.
It was pretty cool.
And so was that live? Was that
No, it was for all the workers, for kind of similar to would be a Christmas party.
Okay.
The owner of the TV station, he does every year his his birthday, he does like this kind of. It's a kind of end of the year or end of financial year.
Like just an event
function, for the workers. That was a big one, but it's like it was in 2009, not long before I came to Australia. So when I got here, it was an interesting one because I had the opportunity to get into DJing very, very soon. Like within 4 weeks here, I was already DJing.
Oh wow! What was your first gig whilst you were over here?
The first gig here was an interesting one because I went to this place in Northbridge. They used to call Impact Bar. I don't know if you guys know it. No. It's just like, do you know where the Piazza in Northbridge is? The Piazza, the actual place in
like
Northbridge.
Yagan Square?
No, the Piazza, it's the one that have the big TV screen.
Yeah, where Northbridge Brewing Company is and stuff.
Yes, it's like now the Northbridge,
Northbridge Piazza,
Yeah, and then across the road, there was today it still is, I think, Irish pub there.
Grady's. No,
Grady's.
I know what you're talking about.
There's an Irish pub there. Before it used to be a place called
the Boston Ross.
Oh, and it's underneath Air Nightclub?
Yes, underneath.
Okay,
the Mint. There was a Mint Air Club, Air Club and the Mint Club. There's two clubs upstairs, and then there was a place called Impact Bar, which was downstairs, and then all the walls was all red and all that. And my very first weekend in Australia, I got here on a Thursday, and I went out on a Saturday because I was like 100%. I need to get into this as soon as I can. So my first night out, I couldn't, believe me, when I say I couldn't speak a word of English, I mean that. And I know it's not just to like make some. I actually couldn't. And then I typed something on my phone, and I walk into the DJ, and there was a girl, and then I show my phone to her, and then somehow she got to understand what I said, and she replied back to me, and we swapped numbers, and then ironically, she's still a friend of mine. Abby, if she's watching, and I will tell her, I thank her so much. Abby Donaldson. She's married to my financial advisor now, which is like they're still part of my life, you know. And then she was the one that got me into all the ways here. And I don't know what happened there. I sent her a message the next day. Google Translate. I don't know how come I got to communicate with her. And then she said, "Oh, we need a DJ here for Thursdays." And then happened that I went there, I spoke to the guy, and then we did 2 gigs there. And the Thursdays didn't work well, but it was my very first one. So I was already DJing in the 3rd week that I was in Australia. I was already.
That's really impressive.
Doing something.
And not even being able to speak English.
No.
Like, that's really impressive.
If they want me for English lecture, I probably wouldn't be able to make it, but they wanted to play music, so I think it worked well.
So how hard was it for you to pick up the English language as well? Like, because I mean, if you were already playing out and about and then using Google Translate and stuff like that, like, how did it take you a couple of years to learn it?
No, not at all. It took me less than that. Like I always say this, like when I was here, because everything that you learn, right? You have you go from 0 to 100 because you don't know anything. But you get to the plateau, right? When you don't learn it for a long time. So my English in 2011, after 1 year in Australia, I would say that was very equivalent to what it was maybe 5-6 years ago. Okay. So maybe for very good 5 years I didn't have much progress. And believe me or not, I will show this to my daughter. I learned English so much with her because she is educated in English. Like she goes to school here. She's in a primary school now. She's year 4. So I read books with her, and then last night we were reading a book, and I sometimes I had some words. I said, "What is this?" And I learned it from her, you know. So
that's amazing. That's awesome in a way.
Yeah. And then, but on the other hand, my son already got to be here in Australia. He was 14, and then he learned English within 3 months, man. Believe me. And then his English, he doesn't have any accent. Leo is a great guy. He learned, and then I admire him so much for this. And I'm very proud of him because he got to learn so quick and then so well. But for me, we go through this. So learning a language is a lifetime exercise.
Yeah.
I will never, ever, I wish, but I will never be able to speak English like you do, like my daughter does. And not even like my son does. But it is like a lifetime exercise. So it took me a while to learn, but not that long. After 1 year here, I could could pretty much communicate with myself quite well.
That's really good, though.
Yeah.
Well, that shows that you're very intelligent, honestly. Because I've met people where they've actually, they had 2-3 years before they could kind of pick it up in a way, and like they picked up bit by bit, and they've done this and done that, but they haven't been like extroverts though. They've been like introverts. They'll stay inside and just study, and they'll like they'll. It was a Chinese student that I used to hang out with at Curtin University, and like they weren't party people. They didn't want to go out and socialize and try do new things. They eventually picked up the language, but at the same time, it's just like they were kind of very, can help me out kind of thing in a way.
Yeah, and you know what? You say like they call the English as a first language. What's it? AF. They have a way to English as there's a way that teachers that teach English, they call themselves when they teach English as a second language.
A native language. English is an ANL. English is a native language.
Exactly. ENL. Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
And then when they say that there's two different groups of students, and then we classify being an international school, an English international school, English college, is one of the most fascinating experiences that I ever had in my life.
Okay.
And I will tell you, I always say this to everybody: if you can learn a language one day, just for fun, do it, because learning a language is one of the most incredible things you can do. Because normally you don't speak the language that you speak as a first language. You copy from your parents the language you speak as your first language.
That's it, yeah.
But when you learn something, you're like, wow, man, I actually learning how to do this. And then I can communicate to you now. I'm not thinking in Portuguese, I'm speaking English. So that's a really cool exercise to get you out of the comfort zone and get you somewhere.
That'd be very interesting. So being able to think in your mother language and then speak in another language, it's
pretty cool.
Yeah.
So international college is like it's like a little version of the whole planet. We have people, of course, not from Australia, other than the teachers, but we have people from everywhere in the world. All the Asian countries you can think of, all the South American countries you can think of, some of the European countries, like, mind you, people speak English quite well in Sweden, but they come here to learn English, to get better, to improve. They speak English in Germany, but they come here to improve. France, Switzerland, all the other countries. And it turns out that I was in school, and then I see the teachers saying this, like, the cool thing about the Brazilian students, or even the South Americans in general, we try. We speak something, and it's like somebody say something, instead of trying to, what did you say? You just go repeat, we just try. We actually outgoing. But the Asian students, they are way more into the grammar. They very quiet. They can write essays just like any native Australian would do, because their English is perfect. They really quiet. They don't speak, but they write pretty well. Grammatically, Brazilians, they don't have much good grammar when actually terms comes to English. But we just try to speak. We speak to everyone. We don't care. Like, we just go and
just go with the flow.
It's like the way to learn. Like I tell people, there's no way to learn a language without trying. If you don't try, there's no way. There's no way.
So for our last like 10, 15, 20 minutes, I really wanted to dive back into Go Gabs in a way, like into the business.
Sure.
So then with that, it's like, when you first, like, did you go and study anything to be able to learn how to open your own business in Australia and stuff like that or anything? Or did you just kind of, because I mean, you already had the 2 degrees, so you would have, as I said, like, you're educated, so like.
Yeah, I had 2 degrees at uni, but I did also previous, like back in Brazil, I went to TAFE to do what's similar to the business college would be. Okay. So I have a degree that would be similar to a Cert 4, because it was 16 months. So I think it could be even diploma here in Australia.
Yeah, right? that could be a diploma.
Yeah, it was 18 months, so 3 semesters. I studied business, so I had some knowledge of how to do things. But I just, not really in Australia, but I had some vision, and I still do all the time, believe me. On the way here, I was listening to a podcast about wedding industry and how to follow up emails, how to create connections with venues, and try to create this kind of referral system. One of the biggest things I've done here in Australia, which really helped me, was to join one of those business groups like BNI. They have the District 32. They have another one that's like they call the masterminds. There's all those things, So you learn from people in other businesses what they do that works, and you just try to bring and transfer into your business and your expertise. So the Go Gaps DJs came as a thing that, according to what I was saying previously, I noticed that there was a time that I had to create more like an image, like what can be done if I am not supposed to be, if I'm not there, if Gabriel is not there. Can this still generate me some kind of income? Can I book Alex to do an event for me if I'm already doing a wedding? Like, many people, if you don't know, Alex works with us.
Yeah.
He had today he had a meeting, right?
Yeah. I had a meeting with Karen. Yeah. And it was a good meeting. Yeah.
Karen is the one that also is my right arm in this business and support me a lot of things. So I think that's like we create this thing. We try to saying about Go Gaps now, right? We try to provide experience. We don't want to be the DJ. I always say this: if you are thinking of either getting your Spotify or your playlist to play during your wedding, or somebody has the idea like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna get a DJ or gonna put a playlist. So if you are the person, we are not for you. Because you want to create experience. If it's DJ, if music in as part of your wedding is something so insignificant that you can do yourself or you don't think it's valuable, we don't want to do for you. We want to work for people that want to work with us. They want to work for clients that want to experience. They want to, there's a guy there that he's been DJ for a while. He's a guy that will be able to provide the experience to my guests, what my guests will be doing between the moment they arrive until they leave. There is an entertainment part there. It's quite important. Exactly. If you are so indifferent towards that, you think you can find a DJ. And believe me, man, don't get me started on this. There's somebody charging $500 for a wedding.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's so cheap.
And then he's on Instagram. I wish I could go there and say, don't do that, man. You destroy the whole industry.
That's it. You just completely undercut the market. And you might get more work, but then you might not give the same experience, like you said, as like, someone that charges the correct amount kind of thing. Like,
no, and not even that. It is like making people that don't understand, because most of the time in your life, you never had to book a wedding DJ before, and very likely you will not book a wedding DJ again. That's a one-off thing, It's like a funeral directors. You're gonna sell only once, man.
Yeah,
there's no way to sell this thing twice.
Yeah, that's it. It just doesn't happen like that. It doesn't work like that.
If you are somebody that does gardening, maybe you get a work every 4 weeks, maybe every 3 months. But if you are a wedding DJ, you very likely you get from the same clients. Maybe I have never done 2 weddings for the same client. I know people that got married twice, 3 times, but I only have worked for the same client once. So.
Do you think that they get worried there was a DJ that fluked them? That's why they decided to get a new DJ for the second wedding?
Yeah, well, that is another thing too. We could do specials and 50% off for your second. No, in saying this, like, so people don't know how to shop. They don't know how to search for wedding DJs, and then they go online. They see somebody charging 500, and they see somebody charging 1,000, or somebody charging 2,000. They will say, "Well, what? I'll go for the cheapest one," right? They don't understand, so because they don't know what to do with. But if they say, "Wow, why this guy is so much cheaper?" Do they have like insurance? I have insurance. If something happens there, I have like a public liability insurance. Do they have the knowledge? What kind of equipment they have a backup if something goes wrong during the night? So all those things. And then there are many people there these days doing weddings, especially weddings, just like by this, like, oh, there's a guy charging 500, so I receive inquiries sometimes. Somebody says, oh, but I received a quote for somebody that charged $600. I say, well, I can fight on that one.
Yeah.
I can do it.
Yeah, you can't. It's not that you can't compete, but it's just like it's almost not worth it. Yeah,
it doesn't work now. Otherwise, you just better work for somebody else, because the weddings takes lots of preparation.
That's it. Yeah,
it takes lots of knowledge. Like how you're gonna cater to a client. If I show some of the playlists I receive from clients sometimes, and then go through it, you have to put all this into the night. If you don't know how to link each song, you don't know how to do it. Can be a tragedy,
Yeah.
And then and it's one night of your life. We spend like an average couple in Western Australia spend around $32,000 for a wedding.
Really?
And they hire about from 12 to 14 different services, including DJs, including everything else like celebrants and florists and
just everything, cake, the whole lot, dresses.
14 different vendors, and then something around 32 or 34,000.
I thought it would have been more, to be honest. Like
the average. So it means that people could be spending, for somebody that's spending 20, and then the average is 34, there'd be somebody spending 48.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
But then with weddings and stuff like that, like, did you go and do any, like, because going and doing a wedding and then playing at a bar is like, it's almost two different things. Because it's like, you know, with the bar, you just rock up with your equipment, plug in and play. Whilst with the wedding, you got to have meetings and, you know, like me and Karen got to go and hang out with the guests and actually get to know them and like introduce ourselves and plan out and like actually like figure out how their wedding's going to go out and like how it's going to happen. And how did you kind of put the pieces together in a way? Because I have to say, it's like, you guys are very professional. I'm so happy I get to work with you guys, honestly.
You, likewise, man. So are you, man. We are happy to have you on board. And then I would tell you, the thing with the weddings, in terms of how we do this, I think it comes to be personal, like going to the meeting, show your face. Like, I know there are companies out there, and then they can do whatever they want the way they want, but there are companies out there, they do not send you a DJ specifically. They send you who is out there. It's like going to, when you order Uber for your car, the closest one is gonna come and get you.
That's exactly, yeah.
So it is like this for weddings and some companies. We do differently. We prefer to meet with clients. Preferably, we only work with clients we meet face to face, at least once, ideally twice.
That makes complete sense, though, 100%.
Yeah,
because you got to get to know who's getting married, kind of thing.
Yeah,
like.
it is something very, like when I was shopping the other day to fix my gas, like my hot water station was broken, and I had to find somebody. I didn't need to meet the guy face to face, but for my wedding, it's a very interesting thing. Like, somebody needs to be there, and then who is going to be sitting next to you for 6 hours in one of the most special days of your life?
That's it.
It's just someone that you met online. You send the money, and they rock up, and they never know if they're tall, short, fat, small. You don't know. You need to at least have something about the person, you know, how you vibe with them, and then that's what we do. So we do in a certain way that it's part of provide the experience. We let the clients know what they can expect from us in terms of how it's going to be the day of the wedding. Like, we're gonna do this, and then we create a collaboration. So they send part of the playlist. I always say, don't go over 40 songs, because if you go over 40 songs, you're gonna be going into songs that you don't really. Do you remember that we say about what the song means for you? If you go over 40 songs, I don't think you can think of 40 songs that really mean something for you. You know what I mean? But if you go between 20 and 40 songs, you get a really nice idea what to tell me. Of
what, exactly, like what they actually do, like what they don't, well, what they enjoy, kind of thing.
Yeah, what they want. But if they don't send me anything, which happens sometimes, also doesn't help me. Doesn't help me, because it's going to a dark room with like, what's gonna happen here? You know, like, oh, you can play whatever. Well, really? And I start like this. Okay, so I'll play the Macarena. So, oh no, I don't like Macarena. So okay, so it's not whatever, right?
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. Exactly. But then, so with like doing the weddings and stuff like that, like, so how many would you say that you've done? Not in total, but like a rough estimate over the whole time of Go Gabs. Would you say?
Well, the Go Gabs are. I don't know, Alex. I should have this number, but I can tell this number from up to today. In 2021, we had 34 weddings.
Okay.
In 2021.
And that's so not bad. We're only, what, 5 months in?
Yeah.
6 months in?
Not even 6 months. Yeah. We had a really busy season. And then last week I was talking to somebody in marketing, and then because with my website, if people go and visit, then it's
I brought it up before.
I'll
bring it up again.
No, it's all good, man. I was just going to say, because we have this interesting way to deal with clients, because we don't want to be perceived the boring guy that has like the this way. I always say to people, don't expect me in your wedding day, I will grab the mic and say, come on guys, please stand up, let's do the conga line. No.
You don't want to be that
Here
guy.
comes the YMCA. No, I won't do this, man. So we talked like a little bit informal, a bit more casual, and then somebody said to me, oh, we shouldn't be doing this because brides don't like being treated like your homies. That's what I heard. And I want to say, well, all right, so the message we want to pass it on is this, and then I want to promote this idea. If the bride sees, if he feels connected, if she feels, because I'm saying she because 85 or 90% of the inquiries come from females.
Yeah.
So if the bride goes there and say, oh, give us a bus, or hit us up here, or let's do this. If she sees the image, oh, sees that message, I would say, and she feels like, oh, I have some vibe with this guy. These guys have a style. I want to work for them. But if they feel like, oh, this is too casual, I might not have fun doing the wedding, and then I prefer to go and do something else because money-wise, I'll be doing something else anyway. There's nothing that I will do in my life that I can do with the money that I will receive from the client. And there's nothing that I want to do and I will not do because I don't get the gig. You know what I mean? It's something that I want to do, but if I don't, also, that's not the end of the world. So I want to work for people that want us to work for them.
Yeah,
that's the whole message of
that makes complete sense though as well. Like, because that's the thing is like it. At the end of the day, it's it's making sure that the bride's happy, making sure the husband's happy, and then at the same time as well, just making sure that it's a good connection between business and also like making sure that they get their special day in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you don't want them feeling like they're left out in the dark or anything like that, or you don't want them feeling like not uncomfortable. But as you said, like, who's this guy rocking up to my wedding, kind of thing? Because it's their special day, like.
Yeah, and we get to be there. We listen to those very intimate things, like is the father of the bride crying and giving speech, and then dance. The father and daughter dance. It's a very emotional thing, like. They don't want a totally stranger being there.
Yeah, that's it.
It's like getting to the house in the dinner table while they're discussing family stuff. They don't want somebody they never been there. Like, oh, what are you doing here tonight? So we want to be part of that, and we create a nice connection. There's something that there's a little bit of circle in things in how you connect with people when they say there's an intimate circle, and then there's another one that's called exchange, that when you go to people that provide you services, so you pay and they do, like your barber, your hairdresser's, like he is not in your intimate circle, he's only the exchange circle. You go pay a service and leave. And then the problem is when sometimes you can bring this to middle ground, comes like more of kind of friendship, which is not totally intimate, but also is not totally somebody just a transaction thing.
Exactly. If you see them out and about, you can still say hi and catch up and hang out in a way, just for a little bit, but or however long it may be. But at the same time, it's not just business. It's not just transaction, as you said.
It's a transaction. So we try to create this sort of that's exactly one. The personal boundaries things. Yeah, exactly this. And then sometimes with clients, we need to be very careful. At the same time, I'm not gonna become their best friends. I don't want to, getting
too over.
Go out for dinner and lunch.
Sometimes I call the brides to the DJ decks and I say, hey, come here. Did you have a good night tonight? Can you please come here? And then if I know beforehand the bride is somebody vocally shy and she doesn't feel like talking with people, I'm not gonna put them on the spot in the middle of the wedding. Okay, come here, say hello to your guests. She's like, oh,
that's it.
I don't want to. But sometimes also I need to be careful because it cannot just be like, oh, please send your invoice, please, blah blah blah. So
that's it. That's it. You can't just be like, pay me.
And then you have to create this kind of way. So we create experience. We want people that feel like they talk to each other that way. They say, oh, give me a buzz tomorrow. Hey, they are talking on the phone like, hey, Cindy, give me a buzz tomorrow at 6 and we see we can catch up. So why, when it comes to a DJ service, they would say, hey, please inquire with us.
Yeah. It just doesn't seem right.
It doesn't seem right. One thing that I don't do, and I think I told this, I do not wear a tie, and I wear a suit, but I don't wear a tie to a wedding. I don't feel comfortable because I don't wear a tie every day. So it would be very fake if I show up in a wedding wearing a tie, and I'm not the one getting married. So, and if I was getting married, maybe I would not wear a tie. So I just feel like we try to create this more casual image, and we try to create experience is the thing. That's why music experience. That's why we try to pass it on to people. So that's what the Go Gabs did is all about. And then we try to get fresh young talents like yourself on board. And then come on board, and clients really like you. So we have had
so
some
far,
great feedbacks, and then happy days.
But then it's also, so what about like functions, and not so much functions, but then like, for example, like when you've managed to send me to Rotnest, and like I loved that gig, that was so much fun. But it's like, when do they approach the website, or is that kind of like through personal meeting out?
That's a bit more like a different type of connections we do have with some other people out there in the industry. We do things like helping on the other companies as well. We work in partnership. My dad used to say the cake is big, everyone can have a slice, right? So that's a
good way. That's a good analogy. Like.
So I believe that there's a way to, you put many hats on. Like I put the hat like as a director and the owner of the business. Sometimes I put the hat as a worker. Saturday night will be a crowd, and the crowd doesn't come from Go Gabs. I work for somebody else. I'll be at Groove Bar from 9 to 12 or 9 to 2.
Did you say the Crown?
Crown
yeah. I have to say, I saw a video the other day of like when you're up on the stage and those girls up there. It looked like so much fun.
Well,
it looked like so much fun.
Well, it is fun. It is fun. And then you know what? Earlier you said about what's the difference being in the wedding and being in the pub, and then there's two ways of doing things. If you start to way too many pub gigs and club gigs, you stuff it up in the wedding. But if you start to do lots of wedding, you very likely you'll be getting a little bit off the track if you do pubs, because the dynamic is different. There's a pace. There's a rhythm to do it, right? So at Crown, like when I'm there, I work for somebody else, not Go Gabs, but so I put another hat on. You submit it to authority, man. You cannot. I have to understand. I'm here. I don't really need to take the requests as much as in a wedding. Come on, they come here. Music comes for free. They are not here. They didn't.
That's it. They didn't pay an entry fee or anything like that.
This is the casinos here. They came in to put money, to bet, to gamble, to do whatever, and then music is for free. They come here. I will try to cater to them, but there's a specific request. I don't have to take it, you know? The music is complimentary.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't walk to calls on Saturday morning and then say, hey, can you change the songs because I don't like the music is playing in the background, you know?
Yeah, well, that's it in a way. Exactly, yeah.
So in a wedding, I cannot tell the bride I won't play, I won't have requests, you know? Like, so there's a ways to do this. So I believe that's how you self-awareness, like where you are, what you're doing, and then you become a bit more like, oh, I need to be flexible. Oh, here I have to show a little bit more. No. Do you take requests? Not really. You know, when you take, oh, sure I do.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's just being dynamic in like in the industry kind of thing, and just like different areas, I guess. Like, 100%.
Yeah, you've been doing some gigs at Cabra, and as you said, and then I believe that you probably faced some tough. Like
it happens and it doesn't happen. Like, you know, I'm part of a group on Facebook called Do You Take Requests?
I'm there too.
And so with that, it's like, I mean, I have to admit, all the DJs do have a whinge, but in having a whinge, it is fair, because, like, you know, if someone goes like that to you, it's like, someone just did that to you, like, holy shit kind of thing, right? But at the same time, it's kind of like, you know, I'm not saying that they're not doing the right thing and not playing the right music, but it's like adapting to the scenario. I've said this to a few good friends of mine where it's like, so like, you know, like say for example with TAFE, in a way, like when I first started going to TAFE with Damo, what ended up happening is like you enter the room and you see a whole bunch of students and they're not really talkative with each other or this or that, and it's like, you know, no one knows each other, and it's like, you know, similar thing when you go to a bar. It's like there's so many different punters and so many different people just like hanging out. But then it's like, if you can interact and do the right thing and like interpret the room to be able to manipulate it, I guess, but not manipulate, but it's like to bring people together kind of, then you can actually kind of like, you can create, because like I said in the beginning, the memories and the long lasting, like just having fun, the good times in a way, you can kind of like you know, it's like what I've said about reading the crowd as well. Like, you know, you wouldn't go to a pub and start playing heavy techno because you have to read the vibe.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, because a really good friend of mine, Andre, he always said this when I first started DJing with him. He said, like, look around the room. What can you play to get her dancing? What can you play to get him dancing?
Exactly.
And it's like, it's not so much as going, okay, what can I do to just get that crowd? It's like trying to individually pick out people and go, okay, well, you know, they're dressed like that, they're acting like that. Maybe if I played this, maybe they might start tapping their foot and then actually get involved and actually get start having fun kind of thing. And that's what I mean when I said about the whole like entering a room. When you enter a room, it's like if you interpret almost like a theater or like a play, and then it's like, you know, if you're you're yourself. Do you want to be the main actor? Do you want to be the side actor? Like, what do you want to do? And like, how can you, you know, make sure that everyone has a good time, make sure that everyone gets along and everyone is just like vibing, I guess you could say it in a way.
An analogy that you said is perfect as well. It translates so well what's about being the DJ if you want to be the main actor, because sometimes they don't want you to actually be the main actor.
Exactly, yeah.
You'll be just the guy playing the background music, and then nothing can be more frustrating when you are in the place that background music should be the music playing, but there's a DJ playing party anthems. Like, you know, you go to... A while ago, I used to DJ on Sundays at the Avery. And then there was, I used to do I think that was from 4 to 8. I can't remember. It was while I was resident DJ there on Sundays at the Avery. And then one day they got some DJ girl there, which she was doing her set before I arrived, and then she was playing all the party anthems that anyone would be playing at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night, all the Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, and every song is
it's just like really mixing it up.
Yeah, it was backspin every song, and I was like, far out, man. This is seriously, it's like 2:30 in the afternoon Sunday, you know.
And that's it. It's just not fitting the vibe.
It doesn't get it. Like, you know, it's not the time for this, you know. Like, there's a time, maybe if you haven't slept yet since last night, you just came in the same vibe. You were at 2 o'clock in the morning. You're 12 hours late now because it was 12 hours ago. Sunday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's not space. So, as you said, that moment maybe you are requested to be. What the requirement from you is to be the side actor.
Well, that's exactly it. So a perfect example says Scarborough Beach Bar last Saturday. And so with that, it was bucketing down. It was a horrible night, right? Yeah. But with that, people were there having dinner. And they weren't there to party and dance and this and that. But then with that, it's like all I did was just look around and go, okay, I'm just going to play. I told the staff this. I just told all the bar staff, I'm going to try something a bit different tonight. And I played basically what I play at Long Chim's. Restaurant music, but restaurant classics. And it worked so well. But see, like when I usually go to Scarborough Beach Bar, I'll be dancing around and jumping around, really getting into the music, turning it up bit by bit, like as time goes on, trying to create that party dance atmosphere. But since I kept it such like a mellow, chill vibe, people stuck around anyway because they enjoyed the music. And it was just... As you said as well, it's like it's not 2:30 on a Sunday just playing banger after banger. Yeah. It's playing the right, like what you could think of as the right thing at the right time to be able to hopefully keep people around and get them to spend money in a way.
Yeah, that's exactly how.
And that it's just practice in a way. It's exactly like we said before. It's the scientific and the philosophical. I still can't say it. yeah. But philosophical.
Philosophical.
Yeah, there we go.
That's the two ways of reading the world. They said that's the two ways. So you can either go to science or philosophy. So it just makes so much sense. Like you transit between two of them all the time. That's what we do, right? How we interpret things.
Yeah.
So yeah. Man, I would thank you for...
Yeah, we're a little bit over time, but
I was going to say, man, I think you...
Yeah, we've been talking for ages.
Yeah, we said the good conversation, man. 40 minutes. I was just saying, man, I'm so glad to be here. I really appreciate
Thank you so much for coming on,
your invite, man.
This is one of the only times I've actually been able to have like a really deep conversation
we
like
do,
this. Because like with the other guests, like we've had I'm not saying like our guests have been great, but it's like just like what I said before about Gengar. Like when I had Gengar on, it was like, holy crap! Okay, let's talk about mental health and like doing this and doing that with DJing. For this, it's like philosophical. Yeah.
Well,
and science.
I'm actually I put some preparation to this. They said if you go to speak somewhere for 15 minutes, you should put 2 hours of preparation, but if you go to speak for 2 hours, you only put 15 minutes of preparation because it makes sense, right? But I knew that I was speaking for like about an hour and a half, and then so I put some preparation and enough, not only 15 minutes, so I prepare myself to be here, and then I really appreciate you guys to have me on board. And I want, just before we go, if I can say hello to Luciana, my daughter, Leo, my son, Karen, Melissa, and all the people that actually I told they would be here. They're watching. Thanks so much. And yeah, I'm so glad to be here.
Hi, Karen.
you know Luciana too. You met Luciana.
Hi, Luciana.
And she said, Dad, he was getting all the sandwich from the back.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. When
we were at the Melbourne hotel for the wedding.
My face a little bit.
My daughter said, Dad, he was getting all the sandwich at the back.
Yeah, I was very hungry that day.
The sandwich was good though.
It was very good food.
Yeah,
very good food.
Oh, you know Melissa too.
Melissa? Yeah, actually, I have got Melissa. Sorry, yeah.
That's why I met everyone.
Yeah,
you meet my son. My son is this guy here. No, actually, I was saying this like it's an opportunity for me to be here because I really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
You are doing something, and then if you want more, you have to do more, right?
Mm.
And then you want more. You would going out there, getting guests on here, like to be here, getting guests in here to talk about the experience, but also you are sharing your knowledge with them, and then I think you somehow.
Well, that's it. It's almost like a transaction. I'm learning, and then they're learning off me as well.
Yeah,
so.
and then it's a beautiful thing to do because like otherwise the industry is going to be always this. The other day I saw somebody on Instagram teaching how to be a DJ in 4 steps. If it was simple as 4 steps, we should all quit our jobs and do something else, maybe.
I think I was actually watching the same one, to be honest. But yeah, I was watching it like, I don't think it works like that.
It's a bit upsetting, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's it though, right? Because some people can scrape across the top and they can still get by, and they don't understand like the depth of knowledge behind an industry like this. That's where it can be so crazy because it's just like what we've talked about everything tonight. Like there is so much involved with being a wedding DJ. There's so much involved being with a pub DJ or a bar DJ. But some people can just go out there and then just literally just like the creme de la creme or whatever.
It's going to be only 4 steps. I have this. I know you were over the time, but there's a guy that he helped me so much in Australia. His name is Marcio Mendes. He's a Brazilian guy. He's an incredible musician. And he's been in Australia for a long time. And then he helped me so much when I arrived. And I owe him so much. And then once I was talking to him about something. And he said, I sent the price for me to perform in the bar. Like he plays music, right? And then the manager said, what? I'm going to pay you $200 per hour. I don't get $200 per hour. He said, well, you know what? Can you teach me how to do your job? And then I think by the end of the day, I will learn. If I teach you how to do my job, I don't think by the end of the day, you know how to do it. So, you know what I mean? I think that if you can learn how to be a DJ in only 4 steps, it's something really dangerous because people, they don't know what DJ is all about. They think that's as simple as 4 steps.
That's such a depth thing to go into because I've had an issue where I've played at a bar, right? Yeah. I'm not going to say names, but they've actually printed out an invoice. Well, I had worked Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yeah. I worked Saturday 12 hours there. Yeah. So like in the morning and then afternoon. And they printed out my invoice and they showed all the bar staff. And then they came up to me the week after. I'm only on $19.60. How come you're getting this much kind of thing? And I kind of just said, I was like, why would you do that? Like, why would you print out my invoice and show everyone? That's not nice kind of thing. Like, I get paid the amount I get paid because I know what I'm doing kind of. Like, well, not know what I'm doing, but it's just doing what we're doing. Like, it's the skill in itself kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, like if it's like my brother, for example. My brother's just gone off and he's an emergency safety officer now. And being an emergency safety officer, he's up north on $45 an hour for 86 hours a week.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like, but the thing is, he's been taught that if someone rips their arm off up on site, he has to deal with it.
Yeah, he know how to do it.
He knows how to get them on the Royal Air Doctor.
The Royal Flying Doctor.
Royal Flying Doctor, and then send them to hospital so they can get help and make sure that if any emergencies happen, he's there. And that's like with our job almost.
Absolutely, man. And that's the people don't understand that. So somebody doesn't know how to search for wedding DJ. They come across with those videos. These videos are really, this type of videos. Nothing wrong with whoever put the videos there teaching how to be a DJ in 4 steps. But what I see is dangerous because someone that doesn't know what DJs do, they believe it as simple as
just pressing play.
ABC is in 1, 2, 3.
That's it. Yeah, that's exactly it.
So and then I appreciate people like you because you are truly doing something. You are really doing something. You're making videos out there with some content. You're bringing people here to talk to you and discuss things and then debate on things, elaborating topics and creating something. But creating a video teaching how to be a DJ in 4 steps, I don't know how beneficial it can be for
that's
anyone.
Exactly it.
Anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone.
And so that can be before we wrap things up. It's the same thing with production. It's like you can teach someone how to produce music, but it's like being like I've said this on a few different podcasts where Jimi Hendrix didn't just pick up a guitar and become Jimi Hendrix. No. He spent years and years and years and years and years learning different learning different guitars, and didn't use the same Gibson Les Paul his whole life or whatever it was. He learned new amplifiers, how to do this, how to do that, and then he came up with his own thing, and then that's how he became him in a way, from practice, dedication, and hard work. And if you're going to go out and play the guitar, you don't really make that much money unless you're good at it, right?
Exactly.
Because
anyone will learn overnight. So kids, don't listen. You can be a DJ in 4 steps.
That's it. Yeah,
you will not. It's not rock science either. It's not that hard, but it's not as simple as 4 steps.
That's it.
Alex, thanks so much, man.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Gabriel,
Demo,
as well.
Hello. Thanks for having me. It was up to the computer skills there, all the graphics and things on the screen while you were speaking. So thanks so much.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure being here, guys.
Thank you so much for coming on. This has been a really good episode. I'm really happy you came on.
I will replay it. Believe me, I will watch again. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right, so this is episode 77. 77, and we are signing off. So next week, I always do this.
Same time next week.
Yeah.
Same bad time.
Same time next week. What month are we in?
Same bad channel in May. Right? Yeah. Yes, like that.
All right, so just give me a second. Once my phone starts to load.
So we were talking about this before actually. Yeah, it was a quick question. No, about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu supplanting soccer. Is Pele still Pele? The soccer player. Is he still like just a massive thing? Is he still like a king in Brazil? Is he too old now? He's about like 80?
Yeah, he still has his place there. But I think that's with the young generation. I think we got access to way more things. The world is so visual, right? People see things, like people can watch Lionel Messi, people can watch Cristiano Ronaldo, people can watch many different players. So I think from the last what I see, right? My son is the one that can go on about this, but what I believe is the young generation now contests a lot if he was that great, and we hear things like, oh, but the way to play soccer back around that time, it wasn't that way. It was much easier to be a good player back in 70s, and people that saw him, because he's only 80 years old, he's not that old, so people were actually watching him and then still around, so they say no, he was that guy. And then the young people say, I don't think so, look Cristiano Ronaldo, look at Messi, look at this. So I think those days we contest a lot. There's way more debate before. Maybe when my dad was younger, maybe there was in contest. Nobody could dare to say one thing about him. But now people is open to come to, And if you want to see something really cool about Pelé, there's an interview with Snoop Dogg and Mike Tyson. Have you seen that one?
No, not at all.
Oh, guys, you have to watch that one. I will send it to you guys. Pelé.
All right.
Wrap it up. Pelé.
Okay.
And that's how we're gonna end this Brazilian about Brazilian culture. It's about Pele. That's how we should end.
All right.
Okay, so Damo makes this. We gotta wave at the camera.
Well, who's the guest for next week? Did you find out?
Oh yeah, so her name's Morel Human,
There we go.
and I'm pretty sure she's a house techno DJ.
Oh yeah.
Pretty cool chick.
So we're gonna talk about Pele with her, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we'll see you guys next week. All right,
See you guys.
All right, catch up.
Bye.